Okay, what up, people? It's your boy Chig, and we are through one half of Chig and the Ola Combat Show. And joining me is a very who I've wanted back on for a long time, and that is Kenny Ken. Say hello to the people, Kenny.
Hello, guys. Massive weekend of sport. We haven't just got Tyson Fury's fight with Deontay Wilder. We've got we've seen some big games today. One at Stamford Bridge, VAR controversy. Leicester game, VAR controversy. Both Chelsea winning, Man City winning. We've had the rugby, Scotland winning, France winning, but the biggest talking point of this weekend is happening in Vegas in about 8 hours.
Yes, that's the thing. I think that's the thing that everyone is looking forward to. Thank you, everybody that is coming into the chat room. And yes, I think Archie agrees with your assessment on VAR. But so yes, big up to VP and also Itatsu. Hope you're well. So yeah, I think this is definitely the biggest fight in some time. I'll probably say, in a lot of ways, bigger than the AJ Ruiz rematch. Because what do you think? I think that's probably a big claim from you, but what do you think?
I think what it is was it's all about finances. I think AJ and Ruiz, it made a lot of money because it was in a sort of virgin territory in Saudi Arabia. They put on a massive show. They're trying to get people over, and behind the scenes, everything was like new. So obviously, it was going to make a lot of money. However, in terms of boxing, pure boxing terms, you've got the two best heavyweights out there. And what's happening is they're along with AJ, you could put Dillian White in there as well. They kind of refreshed the interest in Britain, regarding the heavyweight title and heavyweight fights, because you only have to look at the situation, probably 5 or 6 years ago, maybe 10 years ago as well, when it was dominated by the Klitschko brothers and, in Germany as well. So we knew what was going to happen. We knew that Klitschko's were either going to win comfortably on points or they're going to stop their fights. And if it was any doubt, the Klitschko's was going to win because the crowds in Germany. So it was a situation where we were more interested in the super middleweight scene in this country with, Carl Froch, George Groves, James DeGale, Chris Eubank Jr. coming in as well. So it was like Anthony Joshua's kind of revived the interest in heavyweight boxing in this country and maybe across the world. And then Tyson Fury's come back from, serious illness.
I think the reason why I suppose, and I suppose this, goes to Archie's latest question, the reason I kind of asked Kenny the question is because there were some big stakes on the line. That was a fight that had a lot of implications for a few different people, especially if AJ had lost that rematch. A, he would have been so far away from the titles, it would have been crazy. And B, all of the titles would be under the Heyman banner. And we know what Heyman does when he has world titles. He locks it up and only fights in-house.
Well, that's what Don King did. Remember when Lennox Lewis was his first fight to Oz McCall? It took Lennox Lewis about 3 years to even get get even near the title. Yeah. And it took him 3 years to get a rematch with Ollie McCall. And you know what happened in that rematch? Ollie McCall had a mental breakdown in that fight. And then he had a slow path to, getting the undisputed of Evander Holyfield. So it's one of those things where you do shut it down. But I think what it is as well, the bigger implications for AJ losing the rematch was financial for Eddie Hearn and Sky Sports, because you look at it, Anthony Joshua feeds all of them. You've got your Anna Wilhouse, your Johnny Nelson, your Carl Froch. If Anthony Joshua, they're only relevant if Anthony Joshua keeps winning. Sky Box Office can't sell their fights without Anthony Joshua. Before that, they had Carl Froch, who was a egg, but Anthony Joshua was a bigger egg than Carl Froch. And I think that's the thing about it, is the Dillian White, is he a big enough name to carry Sky Box Office on? Not really. I think really. Dillian White. He
does have a good buy rate in his fights, but I agree with you. I don't think he's the poster boy necessarily that Sky wants.
No, so Anthony Joshua. So you've got to realise a lot of people lose their jobs with Anthony Joshua, doesn't keep winning. And I think that's the thing. Andy Joshua, and I think all the boxers now, if you look, Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder, they're all businesses. They're all under different banners. Andy Joshua's under DAZN and Sky Box Office. Tyson Fury's under Top Rank, and he's under BT Box Office. Deontay Wilder's under Al Heyman, and he's on, I think it's Showtime or one of those HBO. But even so, they've all got different TV stations, and they've got contracts with these TV stations to fulfill. So again, sportsmen nowadays are businesses.
Yeah, agreed. Totally agree. Let's talk about the fight. And I think one of the key things, and again, Archie's mentioned this, and this is a lot of the reason why I think the person will win is Wilder because of this. And that is the fact that, Fury's cut, regardless of sparring, I don't think there was enough time between his last fight and this fight for that type of cut to heal properly. And I think from Fury's point of view, I think he's going to have to be wary. As soon as he starts bleeding, I think his performance is going to diminish a lot because that's all he's going to be thinking about. He's going to be thinking, oh, no, they're going to stop this fight. Are they going to stop it because of blurred vision? Is the blood actually getting into my eye, like where I can't see? And Deontay Wilder is not a guy that you don't want to not see coming. So I think those are the real elements as to why I believe that Fury will lose this fight. But what do you think?
I think the thing about it is, right, the Fury camp has denied it, but Eddie Hearn did allude to this last week when he said there's situations and problems in the Fury camp. And what he was alluding to is that, it's the worst kept rumour in boxing circles that, the cut was open up in sparring. And there have been, not only has it been open up in sparring, it's been issues regarding Tyson Fury's fitness. He says he's in the best shape of his life. But, before a fight, every boxer says their camp's the best. Doesn't happen. There is problems within camps. Another thing as well, you've got to look at the fact that he's changed camps, too late into the fight. He's been inactive for 3 years. People saying, well, he did really well against Deontay in the first fight and he's had some fights. But he's fighting a live fighter. And one of the things people tend to estimate about Deontay as well, he's quick as well. He's got speed and hands and foot. Yes, he's off balance, but because of his speed of his hand and foot, he can get out of trouble. And remember, what Tyson Fury's got to do is that he needs to throw combinations. And he ain't going to be able to throw combinations if he's worried about that eye. Deontay Wilder will go for that eye. He's heard the rumours. He's going to remember. People underestimate Deontay Wilder's jab as well. People just talk about the right hand and that it's only one punch. You can't line up the right hand if you're not throwing the jab. And that's one of the things that Deontay does is that he's perfected that jab. It's a long thrusting jab. It's a very painful jab as well.
Very underrated.
Yeah. And it will hit home with Tyson Fury as well. And Tyson Fury did remark about the fact that even the jab hurt him as well. But in terms of the cuts as well, I think it will be a player factor. Deontay Wilder will get lucky. What happened is that maybe that's one of the reasons why Tyson's going to come in at 270. 270. So he is built for to sit and get on top of Deontay and try and see if he can take him out. So that is one of the things where if it's a slugfest, you know who's going to win, don't you?
And Matthew De Souza, I will touch on this a bit later because I think I slightly disagree. I know where you're getting at, but I slightly disagree at this point. But I'll cover that a bit later. I think from my perspective, I just felt like, for me, looking at just a fight, taking the cut element out of it, I feel like there is a lot more things that Wilder could improve from the first fight than Fury. And I feel as though with Fury, surely, I mean, to me, the smart money would have been just copy and paste, just be sharper than you were the last time. It worked, all bar 2 knockdowns, it worked. So the fact that he's almost radically changed his approach concerns me. He's come in at 273. And I guess this touches back to another question that Matthew asked about him not taking off his top. I don't know if that's just, did he not train hard enough, or is this very deliberate? He does look very muscular. So he doesn't look like he's 273 and he's fat. He looks like he's very built and ready for this life. So it does make me think that this is a deliberate ploy. He's very wary of Wilder's power. Interestingly enough, Wilder's come in pretty heavy himself. Again, looks in good shape. So that in itself tells me that he's going for the knockout. I don't think Fury, I'd be shocked if Fury's going for the knockout. If Fury's going for the knockout, I will worry. I get the sense and logic in that he doesn't want to be there for too long because of his cut, but I just think it's the wrong tactic. It's completely the wrong tactic. So I don't know. What do you think?
I think the thing about it is, like, you have to be concerned in both of them, because you've got to realise, right, is that they're both going heavier than they normally are, and they're both quick fighters. One's got speed on the hands and foot, and he's a boxer, and he's got a good range of skills in terms of like combinations, jabs, and right hand and left hook. And you've got a puncher who's got very good speed as well. So one of the things is that why go heavier when you're in a 12-round fight? Anything can happen within those 12 rounds. In terms of Deontay Wilder himself, even though Tyson Fury is going to build a big points lead, he's still got a puncher's chance because of his power. Why negate all of that? Negate your fitness by going in too heavy. I don't understand it, because you've got to realise when you go in too heavy, a heavy guy needs more oxygen to build the muscles, and that means when you're using too much oxygen because of your size, you like I said, you ain't going to have time within recovery. That's what I don't understand. Why Deontay Wilder has gone in too heavy? Does he feel that he doesn't want to be out muscled by Tyson Fury or not? You understand? And the same with Tyson Fury. He's gone in heavy. But one thing I will say is that there is a guy called Terry Davis. He was at a weigh-in, and he says that Tyson Fury looked like $1 million, looked in great shape, and he looked a bit muscular. But again, it's one of the things I do worry about fighters who are going on. I remember Anthony Joshua, one of the things that Anthony Joshua got criticised about when he fought Ruiz is that he went in too muscular, too big. And then one of the things they got Anthony to do was strip down. So again, they're both taking massive risks, but it looks like they're trying to both be in that situation where they're going to use their strength in order to not only dominate the fight, but get leverage for their punches. You know what I mean? Like, for instance, in the first fight, there was a lot of times when Tyson Fury was outmuscling Deontay Wilder because of the size, and I think Deontay Wilder could Deontay Wilder could like I said, felt that he needed to sort of negate that strength advantage of Tyson Fury by going heavy. But again, in terms of what we want for Tyson, obviously we want Tyson to do it. It's very concerning. But the thing about, if anyone can adapt quickly, it would be Tyson. But there's a lot of physical advantages against Tyson in terms of, like, I don't care what anyone says, 3 years without proper boxing will catch up with you. It may not catch up with you in the first fight, but it could catch up with him in this fight. Plus, he's got a cut eye again, and he's changed trainers as well.
To me, that was why I was so impressed. For me, I was more impressed by his Wilder first fight performance than the Klitschko performance, because to be out of the ring for 3 years, and let's face it, he fought a couple of schmoes. He himself said they were sparring sessions, right? He fought a couple of sparring sessions, and then to dive into a Wilder fight, and by a lot of people's opinions, beat Wilder, absolutely made him look silly at times. And to have that performance, my brain can't think. I'm just sat here thinking, can it get better than that though? And it's just changed so much. His trainer, his build, the way he's approached the fight, and seemingly his tactics, although we don't know that for certain. And it just makes me think to myself, can he do it though? I think,
Tig, one of the biggest, you can't sort of discount the influence of his father, because you don't understand. It's very well known that he's, John Fury, and he wasn't a massive fan of Ben Davis, and he thought that Ben didn't have the experience. He wanted Tyson to get back with his Peter Fury and the family thing. So that's another thing as well, which is which is a well-known fact. And I think he definitely had an influence in his son's thinking. And Tyson Fury himself was saying, "Oh yeah, there's a lot of things I do that I'm really good at and blah blah, but I want to sort of work on my weaknesses." So maybe he thought that Ben Davison can only take him that far, but there's certain things he think that he's been told he needs improvement in terms of fighting Wilder. He thinks that Ben Davison probably doesn't have the experience that a Sugar Hill would have. But again, if you've always known you're going to fight Sugar, with like Deontay Wilder and the rematch on, surely you would have changed trainers, after the first fight, or maybe probably after the second fight you fought in June 2018. That's the time to change trainers. It gives you more time to work on things. Like you can watch Deontay Wilder, watch these.
Oh, what, you there?
Hello?
Yeah. Oh, got again.
Hello? You still
I'm
there?
still here. Yeah.
You still there, mate?
Yeah,
Hello?
I am. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Someone's phoning me, and I'm going to tell. I don't like, because I'm doing it off the phone. I don't like people phoning me because it's not only he's a good friend of ours anyway, but he won't be doing that again. But back to back. Sorry, guys, and sorry to show. Basically, what I was trying to say, right, is that in terms of like the first fight with Donald Brazil, that's when a new China should be watching that and Tyson Fury's behalf. And then his other fight with Ortiz. That's when you're getting new training in. But what do we know? We know maybe he's been doing work behind the scenes. But I just think a world championship fight, a change trainers, and to learn something new. Look what happened with Ricky Hatton. Remember when Ricky Hatton, when he fought Pacquiao, he changed trainers.
Yep.
Yeah, he fought Pacquiao, he changed trainers. He went to Floyd Mayweather Senior to try and help out with defence.
Which made no sense.
no sense of it. Because, and by all admissions, that was a very bad camp.
Yeah.
Things weren't going well behind the scenes. Ricky Hatton wasn't happy.
Floyd wasn't happy. Floyd Mayweather Jr. weren't happy that he was training.
Another thing as well. And then after the fight, Floyd, it was, after, if you read Ricky's autobiography, he's saying that, Floyd got his trilby and left him to it. No press conference. He's thinking, saying, well, what? That was a waste of my time. So you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It can happen, but it's one of the beauty of this fight is it's giving us a talking point. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. It was like, for me, so I was one of the people who felt that AJ should change his trainer from Rob McCracken, but I didn't want him to do it for the rematch. I felt like there was already enough pressure going into that fight that I didn't want him to necessarily change the trainer for the rematch, but that moving forward, he should be looking at doing that. And I like what AJ did. Instead of changing it, he added to the team and brought in a guy who, by all intents and purposes, was the one that was responsible for the style that we saw beat Ruiz.
Mm-hmm.
So I think to myself, for me, I just feel like there's so much that he's changed from what I thought was a pretty successful formula.
Mm-hmm.
It makes me think to myself, I mean, I don't know. I hope he knows what he's doing. Like you say, I think the things that are going for Fury is that he is probably the best adaptable boxer there is out there. So let's just say the worst thing happens and he's cut early. I think he'll be able to adapt to it, deal with it, go super defensive. And I think Wilder will struggle for a while. Whether Fury can keep him off him for 36 minutes is another question. For me, I just don't see the route to victory for him. There's too many elements. If all things were equal and the cut wasn't an element and he was his usual fight weight and he went into that fight in perfect condition with his trainer, whether it's Peter Fury or Davidson, I think he wins this all day because he's got more skill than Wilder. Having said that, I just think there are too many things that make me think no. And I feel like it'll be a TKO round 9.
Well, so that's what I said before. But the thing about it, you've got to take into consideration as well, is that because it's Wilder, if he's fighting Anthony Joshua, we go Fury all day long. Because the fact of the matter is that Anthony Joshua probably hasn't got sort of Wilder's. He's got enormous power and he's quite quick and he's adaptable, but he's not at Wilder's level. So you think, he's going to win. And if he fights like someone like Dillian White, who's basically turned himself into a top fighter, but he's still not at that level, he wins. But the thing with Deontay Wilder is that he's equalised is that power. He hits harder than George Foreman. Now, George Foreman was the hardest hitting heavyweight. He hit harder than Tyson. He hit harder than Tyson, and he hit harder than any heavyweight I've ever seen. You know, Bone Crusher Smith was hit very hard as well, but but George Foreman was a different animal. You only had to see what he did, not just in 1973 when he beat Joe Frazier in Jamaica, but when he was comeback when he won the title for Mora, everyone knew that. And Van der Holyfield even talked about the time that when George Foreman hit him, and he thought, "Oh my God, I'm in a fight here." So that was when he was in his 40s. This guy here is unique. This guy, I've never seen someone take someone out. You remember when he fought Spritzer, Deontay Wilder. Spritzer's coming as a southpaw. He's gone for the left hook. Deontay Wilder, left hand. Deontay Wilder's moved to one side with his speed. Took him out one punch, out cold. He needed hospital. He needs to be revived. And then you only talk about Dominic Brazil hurting, wait his time, straight through the middle. These are punches where he's going straight through the middle with power. Normally, when you get knocked out around the temple, around the button, but he's going straight through on the chin. He's taking you out.
Yeah,
that power cannot. And let's catch it. Let's get it right. The reason why it went to a draw is because there were 2 10-8 rounds.
Yeah.
So if you've got the 2 10-8 rounds, that is 4 points up. And then if the judges have gone 50-50 in some rounds and given it to Deontay Wilder, then the draw is explainable.
Yeah,
it's judgeable.
Whilst I thought Fury won, I'm also not one of these people who think it was a robbery. It was a close fight. It was a very close fight. It was close in the sense that there was 2 knockdowns that made all the difference. Without those knockdowns, it would have been a shutout. Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
But, and that was and you've got to realise one thing. Wilder hit him on the back of the ear. And he didn't catch him cleanly, and he went down in the 9th.
Yeah.
Wilder didn't even catch him cleanly. If Wilder didn't even catch him cleanly on the 12th, but he was already down, and he finished up with a left hook. Can you imagine if Wilder caught the guy cleanly in both those times? He's that cold. Yeah, I think Matt D'Souza saying Tyson has a high boxing IQ, and that's right. I really do understand that. And he's had Freddie Roach, who's a very good trainer as well. He's had Sugar Hill, and there's no doubt about it that Tyson's got a very high skill set. But we're talking about, Matthew, one of the hardest the hardest puncher of all time in heavyweight boxing. Yeah. And the worst thing about it is that he only has to catch you once and you're gone.
That's the thing. Because he is a one-trick pony, but in a sport like boxing, where at some point your opponent is going to hit you. So it's really difficult to say, yeah, all right, all I've got to do is avoid that one thing. That one thing is going to happen at some point in the fight. So how are you going to cope with it when it happens? And
the thing about it, all he needs to do is that even if Tyson Fury is up in the rounds, if he knocks him down in 3 rounds, if he does 3 knockdowns in different rounds, that's 6 points up. That means the fight's close again. Yeah. So people need to realise, right, 10-8 rounds. It weren't 10-9 rounds that Wilder won. We know for a fact there was 2. He won 2 rounds because he had 2 10-8s. Doesn't matter what Fury did, and he negated it. It was 2 10-8 rounds, which means he's 4 points up. And then after that, it's discretion. You watch the fight again, you may think, well, maybe Deontay Wilder maybe won out, maybe a couple more rounds. Got a couple of 10-9s. And if he's got a couple of 10-9s, a 10-8, a draw. You know what I mean?
I think all I'm hoping, I hope Fury wins because I agree with AJ's assessment. I do think he gets that fight. There's more chance of him getting that fight if Fury wins it. Especially, forget anything else. Under the promotional banner, I think Bob Arum is more likely to do business with Eddie than Al Heyman.
See, Bob Arum hates the guy. He hates Eddie.
Oh, he hates him, but he'll do business. He'll do business.
He'll probably do business.
If money's right, he'll do it. He'll do business.
Yeah, I think the thing about it is, right, is that, again, you've got to realise one thing, right, is that you're talking about boxing. Forget boxing politics. It's boxing business is being in boxing politics.
Yeah.
Bob Arum.
Yeah.
Remember, Tyson Fury's got a contract with Bob Arum and Top Rank. And is there 2 more fights he's got to do? Contracts with
3 more fights, including this. No.
Yes,
so he's got fights after this. So
he's got 3 more fights. So what's happening is that you want to protect that fighter. You want him to fight in that channel. You want to make money.
Yeah.
Now, is he gonna wait to the last fight to give it Joshua a shot? You don't know. Yeah. Joshua, of course, you know what's happened with Sky Box Office Design. They had a scare with Ruiz, so they're not going to risk that. And then you've got Wilder as well, who's got things to protect as well. And that's one of the reasons why is that you know, obviously I know you're a massive fan of UFF, but you've got to realise there's only one body there. There's only one TV channel. There isn't that sort of box of politics. So fighters can put their titles on the line because at the end of the day, they haven't got contractual disputes for different TV stations. You know what I mean? Conor McGregor, obviously, he's a massive fighter, but at the end of the day, the be-all and end-all in UFF isn't Conor McGregor, it's Dana White. So Dana White can dictate where these fights go.
It's funny because Ola made this point yesterday when we did our first preview. He said that, I think it was Conor that said that. No, sorry, it was another boxing thing that said this, that a boxing show that said this, and I completely agree. What Al Heyman is trying to do is create his own very little UFC. Because if you look at it in a way, UFC is one promotional outfit. There are different. There's Bellator. There's different MMA promotional outfits. In boxing, there are so many. But if you can get a situation where you hold in all the belts, you can effectively create your own in-house titles.
Well, Don King did that. Don King did that in the 80s with Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
And Mike Tyson was his golden egg. And from 1986 to 1990, it was a tie-up, innit? Showtime. All the Mike Tyson fights on Showtime. Frank Bruno had to go and fight in America, in Las Vegas, and that's what you call a tie-up.
And that's why I'm very wary of Al Heyman's outfit. I just don't want them to get belts where possible. I want to see the undisputed fight, man. I want to see it in my lifetime. I don't want to have to think to myself, oh God, Al Heyman's
you may not see it. You may not see it. As long as boxers have got tied into massive multi-million-pound contracts with different TV stations, not just in the United States but in other countries as well, then you're going to have a problem. You're going to have a tie-up. You're going to have. I think what's happened is that you'll have people like Eddie Hearn and Al Heyman and Bob Arum and Frank Warren saying, "Well, you've got to build a fight up." What they're telling you is, well, at the moment, we got contracts with other TV stations and we want our fighter to keep winning. And then when our fighter, like I said, wins it, then we'll think about it. Look what happened to Mayweather and Pacquiao. How long were we calling for that fight?
Yeah, that's true. It's a fair point, and it's such a shame. It's such a shame, and this is the thing that drives people away from boxing, because the one thing, for better or worse, with UFC, fights can always be made because it is that one promotional banner.
Yeah, but you've got to remember one with UFC. UFC is very much in its infancy. You know, we've only been talking about UFC for probably the last 15 years.
True. But
you wait, there is going to be another one who's going to create their own body. And then what will happen is you'll have the same situation with boxing. It doesn't work. Look at darts. You know, you had Eddie Hearn with darts. Before it was under one banner under the BBC. They're all going to Frimley for the British World Championships, and they get a breakaway, don't they? BOD, and then what happens? It happens. Breakaways happen in all forms, in all sports. You know what I mean?
Okay. Well, in that case, just as we start to kind of edge towards wrapping things up, whoever wins this fight, and you think it will be Wilder as well, What do you think his next fight will be after this?
Wilder's next fight won't be against Anthony Joshua. Wilder's next fight will probably be, well, there's no need fighting Ruiz. Ortiz. I think Ruiz, if he gets himself together, will probably fight Wilder. Because I can't see any reason what fight Wilder, and because that'd be under the Al Heyman banner, and he'll probably just have he'll probably have another couple of fights, and then I think in 2021 he'll have no choice but to fight Dillian Whyte if Dillian Whyte keeps winning.
Do you know what? I didn't even think about Luis. You're absolutely right. That's exactly what they're going to do. When Wilder wins this fight, because I don't think Fury will take supposedly they have a soft agreement for a rematch this year, but for some reason I don't think that fight will happen. So, yeah,
Matt D'Souza's come out with a good point. He said that Duzen will be out of boxing at the end of 2022. Fox and USB and Raw, hopefully that will put on more fight. It probably will, but again, it's one of those things where it depends. Like one of the things is that I think what we have in boxing is that we have a situation in boxing like we have with Messi and Ronaldo. If Messi and Ronaldo, retire, and they've got to retire because they can't go forever, there'll be a massive void. And I think what's happening is that when we do lose Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder, and AJ. And AJ, I think there's going to be a massive void in boxing. So who knows? By 2022, Wilder's going to be 37. Will he carry on boxing? Tyson Fury is publicly said that he's only got 18 months left in boxing. He wants to devote his time to helping people with mental health. So that's probably going to leave AJ. He's going to be 32, 33. It's one of those things where we have to enjoy all three fighters as much as we can.
And I think, I suppose that's a good segue to Matthew's earlier question, which I said I'd come back to, and that he said, do we feel that the British boxing boom has gone? I think in terms of boom, probably, but because purely on the base, this is twofold really, because it was interesting hearing Eddie Hearn speaking this week saying that if Fury won this fight today, and then went on to face AJ, that the fight wouldn't be in England, and everyone had a massive uproar. I got news for you: sport is all heading towards Saudi Arabia.
Yeah,
that's where money is.
And China. Don't rule out a heavyweight title in China. You got to realise one thing about these countries. Like, there's a reason why we had the Football World Cup in Russia, and there's a reason why we have it in Qatar. The fact of the matter is that both of these countries are cash rich. Yeah. They're not going to go into debt. They can actually afford to hold the tournament, which means they don't need to raise public money like we have to do in England. Like we had to raise public money to hold the Olympic Games in London. So, and the first thing about their untouched territories. So it's only natural that these big events are going to go there. Don't be surprised if the Champions League final in football gets held in Qatar. There's no reason why it shouldn't be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because simple reasons, that's where the money is. And all right, football fans may not like it, but you've got to realise, right, with TV now, and we're not just talking football, because we got a lot more armchair boxing fans than people go there, then what will happen is that the support, they'll fill the stadiums.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Everything's online now. People watch it on their phones, YouTube. Every sport's a business now, so don't rule it out.
I think once you just get to a certain level, like AJ is really insisting that his next fight is in a piece of crap stadium in North London. And, I think he's insisting that because he feels that he owes something to the English fans and they'll moan if they don't have it in there. But the reality is, his fights from now on are going to be in America, in Saudi Arabia. That's just where the money is. It's where the money is. AJ's going to have to go to America once Wilder wins this fight tonight.
Of course he has.
There's no way Wilder... I don't think Wilder's even going to Saudi Arabia. I mean, he will insist it's in Vegas.
Well, the thing about it is that if you want to see AJ fight, then he's got to fight people like Dubois and Dillian Whyte. But Dillian Whyte ain't the fool. He's probably if he keeps winning and he keeps on being a sort of boxing's conscience, i.e., we've been treating this boy unfairly, blah blah, then he's gonna get someone in America. I'm sure there's people in America who will be dying to get him on his box, and then Dean White's gonna be fighting more in America. He's that close.
And this is the thing, and Archie makes this point and almost says it, I don't know in the context you're saying it, but people say it like, oh, well, they just want the money. Listen, they don't have careers the way me and you have it. They're not working for like 15, 20 years. They have a short span of time to earn as much money as possible. And let's face it, they're in a dangerous sport. Let's say if something happens to him in his next fight, he wants to make sure his kids are secure, his mum is secure, his dad is secure. So I don't blame them for one single second for saying, no, I want as much money as I possibly can get. Selfishly, from fans' point of view, yes, you wish these things were easier, and obstacles like money are the main obstacles that you feel like prevent certain fights from happening. But I also don't blame any fighter for saying, no, you need to pay me as much money as possible. Don't price yourself out for anything, but pay us
Chig, right? Sorry to cut in. The thing is, Chig, for every Anthony Joshua who's a business, there's a Paul Ingle. Remember Paul Ingle when he fought Nassim Mohammed in 1997? Got lost in the 11th round. It was pretty close. Went down a few times, but he fought well, won a few rounds against Nassim Mohammed. Fought a world title. Like I said, went into a coma.
Yeah.
What did boxing do for Paul Ingle? Nothing. And he nearly lost his life.
True.
What about like I said, Douglas all those years ago when he fought Errol Graham? The British Board gave him a job, but that was it.
Yeah,
his career was over.
Yeah,
Michael Watson. What did boxers do for Michael Watson? Innit?
Yeah.
So I'm not too funny. At the end of the day, they are prize fighters.
Exactly. And Archie, don't get me wrong, I know you weren't necessarily saying that, but I often see that in forums as some sort of criticism. And I'm like, yeah, so? I'd want as much money as possible if some big geezer was going to be punching me in the head for 36 minutes. I'd want to make sure that everybody is secure in case something badly goes wrong here. Everybody is secure at home. No, I have no issue with that at all. No issue.
Another thing as well with boxing, they have to be business, and you got to remember that over the years they've had some very unscrupulous men like Don King. You had Mickey Duff. God bless his soul. He had his Mickey Duff's party trick for Michael Watson. And a lot of his fighters, not only was he a promoter, he's their manager. So basically, Mickey Duff was taking the manager's fees, some promotional fees. So these poor guys probably left with 30 or 40% of their purse, and they had to pay the taxman with that and pay all their cornermen. You know what I mean? So you can't have a situation where you have scrupulous men like Mickey Duff and Don King, who basically, shafted their fighters. If I was a boxer, man, make sure that you do have the right people around you. Dietitians, say you're in a great condition, and also for financial people, and be in charge of your own finances. You know what I mean?
I think Kawanatsky is another good shout, Matthew, as someone that might possibly be given a chance, who's not particularly high risk for Wilder. I feel like it's going to be another schmo before Dillian White, and it's such a shame for White. Such a shame.
Well, I think Dillian White as well. Dillian White.
Go on, sorry.
Dillian White talked himself out. Remember he was very critical of the WBC. It wasn't just the fact that he was unjustly found basically handed out the sport when he didn't even do anything wrong. He was actually cleared by all the right bodies to fight that fight with against last year, and then for boxing to turn its back on him was a disgrace. And then
that's the thing I don't understand, because he was suspended before there was even a B sample. He was suspended. Meanwhile, at the exact same time, you had a drugs cheat that was fighting for his second title shot at that WBC. It made them look foolish. It made them look so foolish. So by the time that Dillian managed to prove his innocence, meanwhile, he's now being it's like he's now being punished again, and being pushed back another 2 years. Oh, it's so annoying.
I
Every
think
time
what's happening.
anything, so annoying.
Yeah, but you know what it was. It was because of his. They felt his attitude wasn't right. He was criticising the WBC, rightly so as well, because they're messing about.
Because you got to kiss their ass no matter what.
Yeah,
I know.
And then what was happening is that they didn't need to put Tyson Fury as the main challenger, but they did it anyway as a big FU to Dylan White. You know what I mean?
Oh man. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Please do stick a like on this video. Final prediction, Kenny Ken. What round? How does this fight end tonight?
I think Tyson Fury do well if it gets to 9 rounds, because I think he'll go down, and I think it will be go down a few times, and I think that is going to where Wilder is going to sort of build up the points tally, because at the end of the day, 10-8 rounds, you get 2 or 3 10-8 rounds, then you know like I said, you make things closer than they should be. But I do think there'll be a stoppage in the 7th round. I said 9th yesterday, but I've changed my mind to 7th. But between the 7th and 9th round.
Funny enough, I said 7th yesterday, and I've changed my mind to 9th.
Yeah, same here. I said 9th yesterday. I've changed my mind to 7th.
The reason I'm going to give Fury a little longer is just because I feel like he won't want to lose his. I think there's some value that should be placed on a man that doesn't want to lose his undefeated streak. So he'll be stubborn. He'll continue trying to get up. He'll continue trying to battle it. He also has 2 cut men, which is very interesting. He's got 2 cut men in his corner, so he's anticipating his cut being opened up. And I feel that might buy him a round or 2, but I think the inevitable will happen, and there'll be a late stoppage. I'm going for round 9, Wilder. It's going to be annoying because you're going to have all these Americans gassed like Wilder's something special. I still don't think he's anything that special.
I think you've got to realise that we've got eye standards, haven't we? We've seen like Lennox Lewis is a great fighter, Mike Tyson's a great fighter.
Yeah.
You know, and we've read about Muhammad Ali, and he's in a very good era as well. You've got to realise right now is that for Wilder to just be at this level is a very good. Because I remember the late Manny Stewart saying, "What's happened to your great heavyweight boxers?" And he said, "Well, they want to play American football and play basketball."
True.
And that's the thing about it is that but it's like cricket in the West Indies. People, young West Indian men who are 6'8" who could bowl fast now want to play basketball in the United States, play college sports, and the ones who are about 6'3" want to play Premiership football. And I think that's what's happened as well in terms of like sprinting as well in the United States. They want to go to other sports where they can make money. Basketball, NFL, NFL, and that's one of the things that's that. So for Wilder to actually build up a fan base, you've got to realise that Wilder hasn't got a massive fan base in America.
You saw how he got booed to crap yesterday.
Yeah, but he's got a massive fan base here in England and in Europe.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. And that's the equaliser for Wilder. You've got to realise, obviously he wants his country behind him, but Wilder can still survive and still, because world sales of this fight are going to go through the roof because he has got massive fans all over the world, rather than his own country. So, it's one of those things where, if Wilder beats Fury and he beats him well, who knows? It may put American heavyweight boxing back on the map.
Okay. Yeah, I would agree with that. All right. Well, thank you so much, Kenny Ken. I appreciate your time on the show. Do you want to let the people know where they find you?
Well, so you can follow me on Instagram. On KennyKen1972 at KennyKen1972. Well, I do a lot of like stingy marking on my previews. Like I said, player ratings, and I try to be. I'm less ranty, and you go on my Twitter. I like to give the players a bit of a G up before a match.
Yes, he is the best motivational speaker.
Yeah, give the players a bit of a G up. Let them know that I'm behind them. Win, lose or draw. They're still Arsenal.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming on. Maybe I did say this to Ola yesterday. I don't know what you're probably going to the game, aren't you? I just
Oh
realised.
yeah,
That.
yeah. I've got a pass. I've got a pass. Wife's giving me
Yeah.
a pass to go out, and she said you can take it as long as you need, but come home in one piece and don't be moody when you on a Monday when you got a school run.
Well, there you go. Well, I know a lot of people want yourself, Ola, and myself on at the same time. I promise we'll make that happen.
We'll definitely make that happen. Definitely. Remember, it's not just football. We're boxing fans as well.
There you go. There you go. So,
I don't do. Before I let you go. I don't do M&A. I call that professional play fighting.
Oh no, gonna trigger so many people. Oh god. But yes, thank you so much for coming on. For those people who keep asking, am I doing a watch along? I will try. I've got someone coming over mine to watch the fight with me. So it depends if it's appropriate. If it's appropriate, I might just stick the camera on myself. I won't necessarily be talking to you guys so much. I might be talking to my mate, and then we'll just go from there. But yeah, I might do that type of watch along if I do one. I'll definitely do a review. I'll do a review with Ola. I'm hoping sometime tomorrow evening. So make sure you guys stay tuned. Do subscribe. Do hit that like button. And yeah, we'll catch you soon. All right? So take care. See you later.